are to me being live. Okay, welcome back from lunch or whatever you just did. Now Tim, whom you already know from the Fachstudienberatung, will introduce you the Studying Abroad program. And word goes to you, Tim.
Hast mich drauf? Ton funktioniert? Hervorragend. Welcome again. And probably not the last time. All right, at the head today, exchange coordinator, so the topic is a stay abroad or potential stay abroad. We're going to, damn it, okay. We're going to start with a short overview of potential reasons why you probably want to stay abroad or why it might make sense to stay abroad for a bit, different possibilities for the same as well. And then the documents required for application for the departmental possibilities, where we actually have the responsibility to select you and nominate you as an exchange student, and with whom or how to gather more information. If you have any questions during the talk, just raise your hand or ask your question online, and I'll try to answer the questions on the fly. Bitte? Nein? I have no introductory slide in this presentation, and therefore I'm just telling that. Let's directly start. So why should you probably go abroad? I mean, for all the international students who have enrolled here, you are actually already abroad. Welcome. So you're already meeting these criteria most likely anyways, yet it might be an interesting idea to enhance this opportunity a bit further. Anyhow, for everyone, so of course, a stay abroad enhances or improves the intercultural and cultural competencies. So first of all, you learn a bit about yourself in comparison with a different culture. You learn a lot about a different culture. You will gain insights, more experience, also with other university systems. And of course, it's a good chance to improve your language skills in a foreign language. It also offers new subject-specific opportunities. If you stay abroad at a partner university, for example, who offers other courses, but in the same area, potentially. For example, we don't have that many reverse engineering courses in security here in our department. But other partner universities may have, Mahidol, Thailand, Eurocom, Southern France, for example. Then you can extend your potential possibilities. That might be of interest. And of course, it's really positive in general for your CV. Specifically, if you want to go into research or the academic career in general, it's almost mandatory nowadays to have some international experience. All right, so let's assume you found a reason why you probably want to stay abroad. As the camera is not moving, I will have to stay here. Let's see how long it takes you till you, no, okay. I'll try to, okay, fair enough. Okay, so there are several reasons. Let's assume you identified a reason and essentially you're fond of staying abroad at some point. What are the possibilities? Well, there are, first of all, of course, the office of the university, the department. It's a 1 or 2 semester stay at one of the partner universities we have in the department. A regular exchange, let's say, either in Europe, the Erasmus Plus system, or worldwide. At the moment, we do have roughly 30 different countries in our program, with over 80 different partner universities. As I said, 1 or 2 semesters, depending on the contract and the details of the same. And what's really important, because a lot of people drop by and ask for a stay abroad in an English-speaking country. At the moment, no exchange possibilities from the department within the regular exchanges in Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, England, Scotland. Very few possibilities in Wales, in Canada, and in the US. And the one in Wales only for the bachelor students. Not many English-speaking countries left. All right. But in most partner universities, specifically on master's level, a lot of the courses are held in English. So, and you usually only need an English certificate in order to get accepted at the partner universities. So that shouldn't be an excluding factor, actually, because otherwise you will have to apply for these 6 possibilities in an English-speaking country, actually. So this is something most students go for because it's easier, a lot of possibilities, 1 semester abroad, not so hazardous if you don't cover a lot of credits abroad and whatsoever. There are specific possibilities though. For example, double degree programs. To be honest, we are just renewing our double degree program, so I can't guarantee any specific double degree program in the next application period by now. We're on the way to renew them, create some new ones with the new study regulations and programs and whatsoever, because double degree programs are bound to specific study programs. So there's a contract, a specific one with a partner university, meeting 2 different study programs, and that can either be something supplementary or something including. If it's really matching contentiously, you usually don't have any longer duration of your studies, because then the scheme is most likely you stay the first year here, you get roughly 60 ECTS credits transferred to the partner university after your first year here, you conduct your second year at the partner university, including a co-supervised thesis at the end for both universities, and then you get both degrees. So that's the easiest scheme. More likely, it's not really perfectly matching. In that case, 1 year here, 1 year there, and then another extra semester with the thesis at the end. Not many students are actually going for that, because you can also just have a 1 or 2 semester stay at the same partner university and get the exactly same competencies besides the co-supervised master thesis at the end. Plus, you have to select the courses in a way that they can be transferred, so it limits your personal course selection a bit, at least. As I said, I can't guarantee any possibility in this November anyway, so probably not an option for you, at least not at the moment. Then there is something like the Future Leader Scholarship. Actually, unfortunately, paused at the moment because Continental AG has a bit of financial issues at the moment. That was quite interesting. There was a 1-year program in Japan with Continental, but on the other hand, it extended your studies by exactly 1 year. Because the first semester was in an institute, a research institute in Tokyo. A few credits probably we can gather from the same. And industry internship with Continental Japan afterwards. Not acceptable for our study programs. On the other hand, of course, really cool competences for your CV and cool experiences and whatever. And everyone who joined this program was really happy afterwards, even though they had to study 1 year longer, essentially. But paused anyway, so again, most likely not an option for you in this November. If you still want to go in an English-speaking country, you could go for the so-called Hessen-Programme. There are 3, Hessen, Massachusetts, Hessen, Wisconsin, and Hessen, Queensland, so Australia and US. Several universities in these states available, but you will compete with all the other Hessian students actually, so it's a Hessian-wide program. Up to now, our university has actually placed a lot of students, specifically from the Department of Computer Science so far, so there are quite good chances, yet it's hard to give a good prognosis on the same actually. And we are almost not included in the whole process as the department anyways. So you have to apply directly in the International Relations Office and whatsoever. But definitely a lot of possibilities if you want to join the US or Australia for stay abroad. And then if you can afford it, you can just go abroad. I mean, probably you have to pay the regular fees then at the partner universities, and not all countries or universities are accepting so-called free movers. But for example, if you get a scholarship from so-called Studienstiftung or something, they usually pay a lot of money if you can get one of those scholarships, up to 10,000, 15,000 euros, for example. And then you can freely select the university you want to go to. We had students who did a semester abroad at Stanford, MIT, for example, Oxford, Cambridge, but they had to finance that on their own, of course. No difference with respect to transfer of credits afterwards. We don't care at all. If you drop by with a transcript from an accepted university worldwide and the credits are matching into your degree, you will get the credits transferred. So that's also an option, but you have to search for the potential partner universities and whatsoever on your own. So less support, most likely a bit more costly, but of course an option. And then, last but not least, if it's for your CV and your experience, depending on your goals for after your studies, you could go for an internship or a research internship, for example, or research stay. There are several possibilities as well. For example, the Erasmus Plus internship program. You can search on the DAAD, the German Exchange, whatever, Federation, Association or whatever. Deutscher Akademischer Austauschdienst. Just to get all the internationals used to the typical German words. You can find a database of companies and research facilities offering those internships. And as long as you go for the Erasmus Plus internship, the Erasmus Plus scholarship is automatically included as well. You won't be able to take any courses if you conduct the same at a university in Europe. And you have to stay 2 months minimum, I think, and 6 months topmost. But this could, for example, also be combined with your master's thesis. You just need an invitation from the other side. That's essentially it. Way shorter lead times compared to regular exchange, like a few weeks, probably. So that's definitely something you could have an eye on. And of course, depending on where you want to go, it might actually extend your competencies better than a regular stay abroad at a partner university, if you gather work experience, for example, in the international context. Of course, if you need any advice or just us as a sparring partner to bubble out your ideas or whatever, just drop by in the exchange office hour and discuss the matter with us, right? So okay, fair enough. I have a reason, and I think I have an idea which programs or possibilities are suiting me. What next? Well, of course, answer the right questions in due time. That's really important, because all those opportunities and possibilities have to be prepared, applied for, and whatsoever. And that needs some time, and the earlier you ask yourself the right questions, the more straightforward you will actually have to deal with the situations afterwards. So, when's the best time for a stay abroad for you? Just as an example, the regular stays abroad at partner universities, 1 or 1.5 year lead time. So if you apply this November for one of the possibilities and you get accepted, then the earliest possibility to have a semester abroad will be next year winter or the summer term after. Oh wait, that's my last semester. Actually, no criteria for us to exclude you from the process. We are sending out master students who don't need 1 credit, for example, from time to time. Completely finished with the degree here. We're then blocking the degree secretly. Psst, don't tell the central facilities. And then actually, after coming back, they directly get their degree, for example, and are finished with their degree. So that might be an option. On the other hand, you could just leave a few spare credits open somewhere and just go abroad and cover the missing credits there. So definitely take that into account and don't exclude a stay abroad just because it might be at the end of your master studies, right? And to be honest, it depends on your speed of studying anyways. So probably in 4 semesters you're all still here. Anyways, so when do I have to apply for the specific opportunity for my stay abroad? Which possibilities? We already discussed the same. Which prerequisites have to be met or given for the stay abroad? Specific language certificates, recommendation letters for the application, whatsoever. Some of those things may need some time, specifically if you need a very high language certificate level. Then you probably need to have some or 1 or 2 semesters in order to reach the respective level. Are there any scholarships available anyways? So how to fund my stay abroad is a really important question. From time to time we nominate students to the US, and in the process afterwards they learn that even though they don't have to pay the regular general fees, it's still 10 to 15,000 euros per semester. And then they drop out belated. And the thing is, we can't distribute these places later on anymore. So then 1 year, no one is actually staying abroad at the partner university from our department, which is okay due to the imbalance, because no US Americans usually drop by anyways, or not that many. So for the contracts, it's fine, but of course, it's an unused place. All right, so I have an idea. I figured out the opportunities. I prepared all the necessary stuff and the questions. As I already said, We are mainly responsible for the regular exchanges. The deadline for the same, for all possibilities or most possibilities, is by end of November each year. If there are some leftover possibilities in this application period, you can apply again in May for the summer term, 1 year later then, just for Erasmus+. So if you want to go further away, overseas, then you have to apply in November, actually. There are a few other programs like the Hessen programs and the Future Leaders Group earlier on and so on with earlier deadlines. And the whole idea is that you can apply to all of those programs in parallel. And as soon as we get the information that you followed the next step in the Hessen program, for example, then you will be removed from our internal application process for the regular exchanges. And if we get the information that was not possible to proceed to the next stage, then you will just be included as any other regular applicant for the regular exchanges further on. Allowing for a few more options for you to apply and probably stay abroad. Unfortunately, we usually don't know long in advance which regular exchange possibilities are actually given. Somewhat, well, in the next few days most likely, we will get the updated list for our department from the International Relations Office. We will then add some detailed information, or not detailed information, but some extra information we have for some partner universities. Not easy to find English taught courses, some specifics about language certificates or whatsoever, and then publish the same on our website for international affairs on the Department of Computer Science, and print it on paper outside of my office downstairs. We will most likely also have one appointment still to be organized during November, where we can answer all questions related to the documents required, for example, or other questions related to the possibilities given. So if you're interested to apply in November, at latest every second or third day, probably have a look on the websites from now on. Because I really don't know when we will actually get the updated list and it's completed on our websites. But it should be somewhat in the next one topmost 2 weeks probably, right? This table is speaking to me. Kann ich da jetzt reinfunken? Apparently questions from the Students' Council. Okay. Most likely somewhat in November, beginning of November will be the appointment. What have I said, what have I not said? Of course, if you're already informed or if you already have some questions, drop by in one of the open consultation hours. The one on Tuesday is mainly meant for exchange affairs, yet we're not really we're not really dividing these consultation hours. So either Tuesdays or Wednesdays between 10 and 12 in my office, D1 and 15, just drop by, ask your questions. If you want to look up the partner possibilities also, okay-ish up to date, you can use the partner database of our university. Probably my recommendation will be Google it. Otherwise, central websites of the university, students, stay abroad, short-term program, partner database, or something like that, if they have not changed the structure of the central websites by now. Then, most important, filter for our department. Because just because the university is a partner university of our university doesn't necessarily mean that we have a place as a Department of Computer Science for this partner university. So filter it down, and then you can also filter for regions, for specific other things, summer, winter term, 1 semester, bachelor's and master's level, and so on and so forth. That might be a good shot, and it's my recommendation to look that up anyways, because in this system you will find the fact sheets to each partner university stating, for example, also average living expenses, probably some links where you can look up the course offers already, and so on and so forth. And experience reports from previous students who have been there. And they are usually quite honest. And these experience reports usually include a lot of extra information that may be helpful to decide for which university you want to apply for. So that's something you should definitely look up. It takes some time, always. So therefore, if you're interested in applying in November, start now. No, not now. Wait till my talk is over and then start preparing. All right. Unfortunately, my slides got outdated in the moment I entered this lecture hall. Because there's a new system to submit application documents, and we had some questions that were unsolved. And my colleague, also responsible for exchange affairs, got in touch with the central facility like half an hour ago, probably a bit earlier. And they solved the issue in no time. And as I entered the room, I got the message, yeah, okay, we can now use something else besides Hessen box. So, same documents, but not via the Hessen box most likely. You will find the updated information on our websites then. But what we need, if you want to apply for a regular exchange possibility, the application PDF from the Department 8 International Relations Office. Without this PDF, no application. Leading tool for the applications for Stay Abroad. Then we need a bachelor's transcript, only if the bachelor was not conducted at TU Darmstadt. I have access to the TUCAN backend. I can print all your transcripts for all courses here at TU Darmstadt myself, if ever required. We don't want to kill trees, so therefore only if you conducted your previous degrees, actually plural, somewhere else, we need, of course, the transcripts for the same. A current transcript as well, if you, for example, are enrolled in some other university, somewhere else in parallel. A tabular CV. What's really important here is we try to create a fair as can be ranking system for all applicants. And the most important factors are, of course, because they are comparable to each other, credits per time, so your speed of studying, and of course the results. But there are a lot of things that can influence the same. For example, if you have to take care of relatives at home, if you have a handicap, if you work too much, if you have part-time studies, if you work for boards in the university a lot, for example, and so on and so forth. If we don't get the information, we don't have the information, and we can't use them for the ranking. So if something, from your personal point of view, might actually influence one of these generic factors, speed and grades, add that in your CV, submit an extra document with all the things on it or whatever, and whatever suits will be included in this ranking. It's a point system actually, allowing for a better chance to get one of the wishes. You can actually apply for 5 possibilities. And you should prioritize them in the right way, because first wish, first priority. And our ranking, after we finalize the ranking, goes as follows. First place in the ranking, first wish, granted. Is there another place left over at the partner university? And most likely there are only 1 or 2 places per academic exchange here. So if yes, cool, university stays in, ranking moves up by 1. First place, first wish, set. Right? So if you whatsoever mistake the Q in your own application, you might actually be nominated for a university you really don't want to like to go to. You should probably not add that on your application anyways, but just to make that more clear. So keep an eye on that. And then we need a plan of studies and a motivational letter. It's completely fine to just submit 1 document for both. Because a lot of things will otherwise just be copy-paste nonsense, right? The plan of studies. How does my potential stay abroad integrate in my plan of studies here as well? So what have I done till my stay abroad? What am I going to do most likely during my stay abroad? And what's left after my stay abroad? So that we can see that you actually had a closer look into the course offers at the partner universities. I mean, if you state, I don't need any credit, so fine, but you should think it through. Otherwise, you risk that you are actually unsatisfied with your stay abroad. And that's nothing we want to have with our students, actually. And the motivational letter shouldn't describe why we shouldn't be motivated to send you out, which happens from time to time. I really don't get the idea. It should be, why am I motivated to stay abroad? What's my motivation for a specific country, region, and my motivation for a specific university? The specific university and your study plans of studies, may actually overlap. You can reference, right? No unnecessary things, and we have to read them all. We have 100, last November, 120 applicants roughly. And specifically, I don't want to read any copy-paste bullshit, right? So if you just apply for places in the US, the motivation to stay abroad and to stay in the US will always be the same. So one document and then small paragraphs or chapters for the specific universities. That's the best way to organize such documents. And then probably you need some more documents for the application at the partner university. And now the explanation why we have such a long lead time. If you apply November, we can start creating our ranking on 1st of December at earliest, because then we usually do have all the documents required for the application at the department. Each and everyone who has applied, but it was not possible to grant one of the 5 wishes topmost, gets the whole list of leftover possibilities, and then there's an ad hoc first come, first serve system during the winter break. So you can actually change your wishes later on as well. On January 15th, we have to submit our selection to the International Relations Office. They are checking for formal conditions. If everything's fine, which usually is, you will get a so-called Annahmeerklärung, another wonderful German word, Annahmeerklärung. So a declaration of, yes, I want to. You have to send that back in a very short period of time to the International Relations Office. They're again checking something, I don't know what. And then at some point you will be nominated at the partner university. Depending on the region, area, or the country, or the university itself, at some point you will have to apply there. For example, in Asia, but also in the US, there's only one application period for the whole academic exchange year, most likely somewhat March to May. So you need to apply there. Submit probably additional documents, recommendation letters, language certificates, whatever, because you don't need to submit the language certificates to us if you apply for a stay abroad. We just believe you that you can actually reach the required level till required. That's just because you're also lovely, nice people, and we just believe you. And we actually have no motivation to check the language certificates as well. So anyways, so you apply there, and they need, of course, some time to check your documents, and if you get accepted there, then you secured your possibility. And afterwards, you still have to identify courses, do the preliminary transfer, whatsoever, and then you can stay abroad. And that's the reason for this very long period of time before you can go abroad. Anyhow, it makes sense, specifically for recommendation letters and similar things, to start early for the same. Because, let's be honest, if you approach a professor a week before the deadline and ask for a recommendation letter, you can be happy if you receive an answer. But definitely not the recommendation letter. So, might be a good idea to look up in the fact sheets whether something like that is required and already start thinking through from whom you may get a recommendation letter and whatsoever. If you're in your first semester, like you probably all are, it's probably a bit harder to gather such a recommendation letter from one of our professors because they don't know you. If that's the case, drop by in the consultation hours and I can explain our Plan B solution. It will then be a very generic recommendation letter. Let's be honest, you all convinced us during the application and preparatory stage with your strong motivation and structured behavior. I wrote a lot of those recommendation letters myself the last year. So anyways, and got the signature of a professor on it, of course. We're not stupid. All right. So, as I already said, more information on the websites of the Department of Computer Science itself, on the websites of the International Relations Office, specifically the partner database and deadlines. You can ask us via email. Since a few months, a new colleague is actually in our department, in my office located, also responsible for exchange affairs. We do have a student working for us since a few weeks. So we'll most likely get the answer way earlier than last year.
there are no fixed consultation. Oh, I have not updated this slide. Forget about the no fixed consultation hours. The consultation hours are, as I said, I will update that before we actually provide that online. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. in D115 downstairs, my office. And of course, there are informational events organized either by the International Relations Mobility Office or Department or us. Have a look on the websites from time to time to not miss an important informational event or something. All right, so much to the slides. Any questions? Yeah, okay. That's the question you should ask yourself and answer yourself. In most of the cases, on master's levels, English is fine. Usually somewhat around B2, at least for Erasmus+. It's always B2. But for example, the US always wants to see something like TOEFL, IELTS, or probably Duolingo. I was a bit surprised last year when I saw Duolingo tests actually for Illinois. But then I learned that Duolingo is also offering certificate courses where you have to pay and whatever. So it's not just, I did something on my mobile, here, look, I can speak English. So then, and TOEFL and IELTS are quite expensive and have a durability of, I think, 2 years or something. But you have to meet the conditions of the partner universities. If we have some additional infos, you will find them in the PDF online on our websites and outside of my office. But you will most likely also find a lot of information already in the fact sheets in the partner database. That's where you can look up what you actually need, right? If something like national language / English level is noted down, it can have different semantics. And in most of the cases, bachelor this one, master this one. Same as in Germany, most bachelor programs German taught in the national language. Most master's programs, or at least a lot of courses in the master's programs, held in English. So in most of the cases, this / just means bachelor, master. All right? But if you want to make sure, ask the International Relations Office or probably drop by in our consultation hour. We do have some experience and information on several of the partner universities, not on all of them, unfortunately. Yes. Can I apply for a semester abroad while being in a part-time semester, or do I have to time that? Interesting question. No idea. Really no idea. Let me shortly think it through. Okay, I don't think that the rules of the part-time studies is actually getting in conflict with the stay abroad yet. The only thing that might not work out then, because that's forbidden if you're enrolled in part-time studies, is to have a semester on leave. That excludes each other. But on the other hand, as we are not forcing you to cover a specific amount of credits per time, it's not necessary to have a semester on leave on paper. So, and otherwise, I mean, your semester counter is counting otherwise differently, but that's essentially the only outcome for our department. So I personally would say there shouldn't be any issue, but if you want to make it sure, ask the responsible people for part-time studies in the facility for the same. And if you get the answer, let us know via Ausland-Ad.
No, okay. Yeah, I get the idea. That's one of the typical questions, actually. All right, the question was, so what exactly should be noted down in these plans of studies? Should we already have the courses and credits, how they will be transferred in it? No, of course not. You can't. You actually don't know yet which courses are actually offered during your stay abroad. What you can do, I focus on IT security here. I've seen that the partner university I'm applying for offers a lot of security-related courses. I therefore assume that I can cover 30 ECTS credits in security, for example. That's completely sufficient, right? And you can argue based on research facilities, study programs, experience reports, currently offered courses as well, and we know that it's not really reliable. The whole idea is to force you to inform yourself about the partner universities. And that you somewhat have a plan, even though it might not turn out in a good way, right? So the whole idea is to not send out students just for surfing. And that's essentially it. If you can find courses, definitely given, you may already add them. But on the other hand, we are responsible for the conversion, for example, of foreign units or credits. And just as an example, bachelor credits from Israel relate to a different conversion factor than master's credits. So good luck identifying that on your own. In that case, just go for courses in general and not really about credits or something. That's definitely not required. One question from this famous internet again. What is the number of credits that will be offered if I complete German language course? Huh? I don't get the question. For the German language course? Okay, I am not the language facility. Usually 3 or 6 credits if you conduct courses in the language facility. We do have a generic 3-6 credit system in our university. So at least for the electives and whatever. So a lot of courses from different facilities and departments will have somewhat 3, 6, 9 credits and whatever. Not in the bachelor's, for example. So that's an educated guess. Ask the right person. Okay, first one, second one. All grades till we finalize our ranking can be taken into account. But we need to finalize it before the winter break. And it ends on end of November. So if you can provide your new grade somewhat till mid of December, we can probably take that into account. Later, it's not possible. Okay, the question is, what are the most popular destinations for the Department of Computer Science? That's the reason why we should actually not provide the number of possibilities per academic year, because it should be an intrinsic decision where to apply for, not a strategic one. Anyhow, computer science students most likely apply for US, Canada, rather Canada nowadays than US, thanks Trump. Japan, South Korea, and Scandinavia. Those are the areas. If you want to stay abroad in Italy or France, I have a lot of possibilities, but almost no applicants for the same. Yeah, sure, of course. I mean, we do have, we did have several double degree programs with Grenoble, Lyon, Eurecom, for example. We do have a lot of partner universities. Telecom Paris Tech, ICEP, Grenoble, Lyon, Eurecom, Marseille, Toulouse. And of course, we do have a lot of people in Germany who have, for example, relatives in France. So yeah, of course, we do have people who stay abroad in France, as well as Italy, Spain, Portugal, Poland, whatsoever. But the ratio between applicants and possibilities is way better in France, so usually always have some places left over. And for example, we have 3 or 4 regular places in Japan each year. If 10 people apply only for Japan and only 3 people can go. So, Scandinavia, Japan, South Korea, USA, Canada. Those are the regions. Pardon once again? No, we're not allowed to tell you. Have I already mentioned the consultation hours? Okay, so first of all, you always have to pay the fees here, but you can get back the money for the semester ticket, the transportation ticket, right? Because you're not in Germany at the moment. At the partner universities, it really differs. There are several different systems available. For example, some universities require to pay fees for specific courses or the material. In the US, for example, it's that expensive because you already have your rooms in the dormitory, the course fees, the food, and whatever paid. So if you calculate it against what you actually have as living expenses here, it may be a difference of 3,000 to 4,000 euros, for example. The big benefit in the Erasmus Plus or the Europe program is that you automatically get a scholarship for 5 months, for 1 semester actually. There are 3 different sections depending on the average living expenses in the different countries. It's not covering the whole expense most likely, but you're definitely better than nothing, right? You won't have to pay regular fees, this overall regular fees at any of the partner universities if you have a stay abroad via the regular exchange possibilities. Right. Okay, the question was if you want to go into the academic career, from the possibilities I introduced, for example, is there a preferred possibility for gathering experience in international context? Yes, of course. A research stay in any way, parallel to your thesis on master's level, for example, in a research facility or whatsoever, is of course closer to your future work then. On the other hand, it also comes down to persons. For example, if you stay abroad in Osaka in Japan, and by chance you get a colleague from a professor here in Germany as a supervisor for your, it's actually a combination of courses and research stay in Osaka. And they know each other, and you get a recommendation letter from this person, and you apply for a doctorate position then, and he encounters the name. It will be more helpful probably. So a lot of things that can play a role, but in general I'd say everything that's closer to research itself will be a bit more helpful if you want to go into the academic career. Any other questions? Interesting question. Okay, the question was, so I stated a bit on Italy and France, for example, whether it is in general possible to stay abroad 2 semesters in 2 different countries. Interestingly, if you ask the same question to different facilities or responsible people, you get different answers. If you ask the one who provides the scholarship, the DAAD, you usually get a no. On the other hand, when you read the legal base texts, you will see you can get a scholarship in the Erasmus Plus system up to topmost 10 months, so 2 semesters actually per level, so bachelor's, master's and whatsoever. They are not noting down that it has to be 1 stay of 2 semesters. So, from my personal point of view, yes. On the other hand, if you don't rely on the scholarship, sure, it's our decision whom we nominate and whatever. Usually that's not the combination students go for. What we had a few years ago, a student went to South America for 1 semester, and instead of joining us again in the follow-up semester, he directly went to Spain. And that was working out. So I highly assume yes, but probably clarified against the International Relations Office, because they are the ones, because the universities are officially nominating, and they are the ones checking the formal conditions again. And things may change over time. So probably ask the International Relations Office finally, right? Okay. Ah. Okay, so the question is that sometimes people extend their stay abroad if they, I don't know, fell in love or something, and they want to extend by 1 semester, whether this is possible or not. Also depends a bit on the current situation. The thing is that if we extend your stay, we need to use one of the places existing. So if there are some left over, it should be possible on an individual base. If there's no place for the exchange year over, we have to use one from the following academic exchange year. So leading to the situation that one student probably can't go abroad. And then the university just denies completely. In few cases it worked out. Reducing the stay, if it's a 2-semester stay and you just want to go out for 1 semester, that's usually a no-brainer. That's completely fine. Extending, not so much. Ah, new questions from this famous internet. Is it possible to study for 1 semester in another German university? Sure, apply, enroll. I mean, as a grad-seeking student, yes. Otherwise, it would be a stay not abroad, but a stay internally in Germany. But there is no given common law or university law whatsoever that hinders you on enrolling in different universities in parallel, even if it's exactly the same name study program. Your decision. And if we get a transcript from the other university and the credits are matching and whatsoever, you can also transfer credits from another German university. So no difference there. But there is no stay abroad application required. You just need to apply as a grad-seeking student. How does the study abroad work with needing a visa for Germany? Yeah, that's a good question. Not my concern. Lucky me. No idea. It depends on the visa, most likely as well. There are different student visas available. We had several international students who went abroad for a semester already. So at least for some it should work out. And now the recommendation I'd rather not give. If you're in the situation, ask the Ausländerbehörde. And wait for your appointment. Quite some time, most likely. But I'm not able to answer this question, at least not finally. Might be an individual case thing, probably. Any other questions? Actually, if you are not selected the first time and you apply a second time, you get a bonus point for the ranking. So the idea is to send out as many students as are willing to stay abroad, under the given circumstances, of course, right? And whatsoever, it might not be possible to select each and every one, and if you apply a second time, then you will get a bonus for the ranking, because then your potential period of time when you go abroad is reduced compared to the others, right? And that's also being fair in the application process. Sure. But with respect to the lead time and master's level and whatever, it might be a good idea to get accepted in the first round. All right. Not possible to apply in November. If Continental is offering the same again, that's a very specific application process. You need to apply in the department. We are doing the pre-selection because they have some internal criteria that change over time, and it's a black box, so we actually don't know what they actually need. They usually search for people related to continental Japan. So you should actually deal with either security, would be cool if it's automotive security, for example, specifically. Then computer vision, autonomous systems. Because continental Japan is researching on autonomous driving a lot, right? So those areas of interest, if you focus sheer on databases, you won't be accepted by Continental, for example. Then we're forwarding your documents to Continental. They will check the documents, they will deselect a few ones and invite the others to interviews. And if you get accepted in the interview, you already secured the place. And then you're removed from our internal application process. At the moment, no, because they have to get their finance straight, right? Let's see, they want to sell the tire business, actually, so what they actually started with. So it seems that they are not in a very good position at the moment. And from the previous semesters, when students were able to apply, topmost, I think 8 to 10 applicants, and 2 or 3 are selected at the end usually. That's the quota. That's then a so-called free moving stay abroad. If they accept free movers and you can afford the same, just feel free. But I mean, I can't answer for any of the millions or 100,000 universities worldwide, right? So you really have to look up the country and the specific universities, whether they actually accept free moving students. For example, TU Darmstadt doesn't, right? But a lot of US American universities, for example, do, because you have to pay a lot of money to stay there. I therefore highly assume that UK essentially is the same as US. Not sure about the other countries though, right? If you need something to support your stay then, like a recommendation letter that it's fine for you to stay abroad or whatever, that's fine. That's something we can do in the department. But for example, we can't then help you with money or whatever, right? Okay. Right, any other question? Is there any way to get support? To get support finding apartments? I think that doesn't relate to stay abroad. Okay, if the question is regarding finding an accommodation for your stay abroad, there is usually either something previously given already, so a dormitory place in the US or whatsoever, where you have to pay for probably, and if not, there is a facility at each partner university who can actually help you finding accommodation. Some partner universities are working with some student boards. I know some others are working with, I don't know English translation, Makler. Those people in the US who put signs in front of houses and selling them. Realtors, thanks. Thank you. And yes, I know the German word, thank you. Unfortunately. Right, so and there are several opportunities, but the support is given by the partner universities, not us, of course. All right. Any other questions? All right. If you have other questions later on, you know how to reach me. No fixed consultation hours, as you can read in my slides. No. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, 10 to 12, in my outside offices, whatsoever. Right? Just get in touch with us. Thanks for the attention. Have a nice day. See ya.
Yeah, thank you, Tim, and enjoy your evening. Now, next in our program, we want to, the university wants to show you a few other things. We Germans call it Hochschulgruppe. I have no idea how I will translate that. These are groups of students who do other things besides just getting their degree. We have 3 speakers, and I assume you are from Tutzat, right? There's Tutzat, okay. Okay, Tim recommends to call them a student association, which sounds partly correct. Or if you're from the weeb kind of guys, we'll just call them a club activity, whatever, just for students. Okay. We have to do some preparations, sadly, so there will be a minute of delay. Now, for Beyond University, I like to welcome Leo, who will introduce Tutsat. Have fun.
Thank you very much. So, today I'm here to talk a bit about what you can do besides studying here, doing a bit of extracurriculum, mostly without getting credits, but you get to do a lot of fun stuff. We are TU Darmstadt Space Technology. We do basically everything that's space related, so we're building spacecrafts, being rockets, satellites, whatever, and giving this opportunity to learn about those space technologies. We are divided into different projects, so I'm lead of the CubeSat team, so a satellite team, and we also have a rocket team that's currently in Portugal and starting next week their rocket. And naturally we also have a lot of other stuff besides that, events, meetings, and a lot of fun events like cycling or watching movies, etc. Okay, a bit about the satellite. Let's get interesting into the stuff. It's the first satellite. We're building the first satellite from this state, from Hessen, and also from the city. Darmstadt is the first satellite also at a university, and it's a student project. It started 2016 with the founding of our university association, student association, and we expect a launch in 2026, so only 2 years from now. Originally we wanted 2019, but that's something else. We're going to launch at 500 kilometers into orbit, so it's a bit above ISS. ISS is around 430 to 500 something kilometers. It varies, and it has a lot of hardware in it. So some parts are self-designed, some are just bought, like commercial off the shelf. You pick a place and make sure it's compatible, and the other parts are self-designed. So the PCB is self-designed, the electronics, the SDMs are picked by hand and then placed, the soldering, etc. But let's talk a bit about software. We have onboard data handling, and this includes data acquisition and storage, meaning we have the mission data, which gets required, which needs to be conditioned, which needs to be stored, it needs to be compressed. So talking in regular terms, we have data streams, we have data encoding, decoding, and we also have naturally telemetry and telecommands. So a command server is here on ground, and then the drone, which is the satellite, needs to be controlled and executed. We have time management, so we need to get our timings from the GNSS, so GPS, which gets the time. We need to manage the real-time clocks and ensure we are in sync. We have fault management, so we have bit flips, we have lockups, we have what else could go wrong is probably going to be wrong. We need to have programming in place that catches those errors and recovers ideally. And the other thing is autonomous operation. You have to consider we only have about 10 minutes of communication time per orbit. So around 3/4 of the time we are unable to communicate or command the satellite at all, meaning it's blind and we have to rely on autonomous operation. Another thing is we have internal data relays communication. So we have basically the main board, the CPU, which the main controller executes, but we also have the independent components of the system, the different subsystems. For example, our power management is a different subsystem and relies on data from our control unit for the commanding or telemetry. And those need to communicate, we need to relay those data, or you could basically say we have an iSCSI controller, for example. How is it actually executed? So it's written in embedded C++ or C sometimes, and we are running that on FreeRTOS, so a real-time OS to ensure it's basically free to run. It has almost zero power consumption, and it's all running on an STM32. It's an H9 chip microcontroller that's like automotive grade if you've worked with that before maybe, and that's a bit of practical experience you can get with us. But on the complete other side, we have our mission control part here on ground, which considers the part of the server infrastructure for maintaining the data storage, the control software, so mission control software, which we use an open source solution already, but we need to expand it with our own software solutions for that. Those need to be developed. And we also have the package handling, because as you would have guessed, data transmission to space and from space to ground is very lossy. You can expect like almost half of the data bandwidth goes to protocol overhead and redundancy. And also the encoding, decoding, due to those overheads, the security, we are using amateur radio, and amateur radio requires us to use unencrypted data which can be read by everyone, and we have to provide a manual to everyone that they can decode and read our data, both ways. So we need to ensure, for example, authenticity. We don't want any arbitrary guy to be able to send commands and control our satellite, for example. Those stuff need to be concerned, and naturally afterwards, after we get the mission data, those need to be analyzed, usually using software. And for our timeline, we are currently in 2024, that's the integration part. We already have a lot of design for the hardware stuff done. It's basically complete, and we are going to proceed to test campaigns and in the next year and have a launch in hopefully 2 years. On the software side, there's still a lot to be done. We're basically writing our own OS kind of from scratch. And let's talk a bit about our other project. It's called our Rapid, our rocket team. Rocket team does basically what it says. It builds rockets. We have a rocket series. It's called Frodo M. And what's inside the rocket? Rockets are quite complex. So we need to recover those. We need a parachute for this. We need a recovery system which ensures deployment of the parachute, for example. And we also have payloads, and they are going to be ejected on apogee, so at the highest point of flight. And another thing is we need we have a live telemetry, so we can press buttons on ground and the rocket does stuff. For example, ejecting the payload. And the other thing is we're currently flying with an M motor. If you're familiar with that, it's basically a huge chunk of explosive which you light on fire and then hope for the best. It's a solid propellant, and it's like fireworks. You light it up and you just go. We are currently, you see the rocket there, that's our current iterations. This flies next week, I believe, on Monday in Portugal to 3 kilometers height. And there we are taking part in a competition. It's called European Rocketry Challenge. That's a challenge for academic teams across Europe, and the goal is to reach 3 kilometers height, or 9 kilometers, depending on the group you're participating, as exact close to as possible. So it's not to go as high as possible, it's to get as exact as possible. And it's our first try. We're going to see what happens next week. For example, a little gimmick we built into those fins you see for the stabilizers, they are not some solid material, they are a PCB which we self-developed. We put sensors in there so it can measure airflow on both sides and the bending of the fin itself. And we naturally put gamer RGBs on it as well, so we can go faster, because gamer RGBs make it go faster. But yeah, we need you, or basically you are free to join us. We have a lot of practical projects where you can actually apply stuff you learned or you're going to learn with us, because most of the stuff which we are actually applying or using in our projects, you're never going to be learning here at the university usually. And it's an opportunity which you usually don't get, because working on a rocket, launching it, building a satellite and launching and operating it, I don't believe that's such an usual occurrence to have the chance to be part of it. And we offer this experience. So our student association, the goal of our student association is to give learning experience to students and everybody else to take part in that space technology. As such, stay curious, don't let the sky be the limit, and you're invited to take part in our open meeting. It's, I believe, on next month on the 13th. You can check out the website, it's all written there. And yeah, if you have any questions, write us or join us in our open meeting. I hope to see you there again.
Yes. Sadly, we do not have time for live questions, so if you want to get in touch, the information is right there. A big thanks to Leo, and good luck next week on your launch. From the film Kreis, a kind of cinema inside the Audi Max, not Lars, sorry, what was the name again? Julius. Not Lars, but Julius will now show us the film Kreis. Have fun.
Jetzt. Warum? All right, so we're the Filmkreis at the University Darmstadt. Yeah. Okay, we ran into a bit of technical troubles here. It's not our job doing presentations, but to show movies, so that's what we actually do. Quick slide of hands. Who of you actually likes to go to the cinema? You do. That's great. Anybody else? No? No one? No cinema enthusiasts here? All right. A few of you do actually like to go to the cinema. Then you'll probably like what we do too, because we show movies actually in the Audimax, which is the big lecture hall here. It's very cheap actually. You only pay €2.50 for each screening, and you can bring your own snacks, which is very attractive. We also offer like a few snacks you can also buy for €2.50. We also have a very big screen. It's 80 square meters big, and we had, I think it was actually the first 4K projector in the entire city of Darmstadt. Yeah, so you'll be safe to have some fun with us. These are a few of the movies we plan on showing this semester. You can see that's a really broad range here. We show like classics like American Psycho, as well as documentaries or big blockbusters such as Wonka, Dune 2. We also show the new Deadpool and Wolverine this semester. We dabble a bit in art house movies, so you can see All of Us Strangers here, which I particularly enjoyed. It's a cooperation with the Filmfest Weiterstadt, actually, with the Queer Filmfest Weiterstadt. Really beautiful movie. And we also show international movies, such as Evil Does Not Exist, which you can see here. This is a Japanese movie, and we also are very careful to show the original English versions most of the time. So it's nice if you're international, you can do like watch something in English on the big screen also. Yeah, you can see what exactly we show, not only in the like orangey yellow brochure we offer every semester. We print it. You may have seen it already if you got like a little gift bag or something. You can also see our program on our website, filmkreis.de, or on our social media, where we always post like a small recap of the next week, what will be shown there. Yeah, actually, our movies are really like well received by everyone. So we won the Hessian Cinema Prize 7 times. It is said that we would win them again this October, so we're very thrilled, hopefully. And hopefully this will go a bit better as this presentation. Yeah, we also offer a broad variety of special events, such as like movie marathons. Last semester, for example, we had the Hunger Games. We have shown all of the Hunger Games movie, including the new one. Sometimes we offer like some screening of silent movies with live music. So this is always a highlight for me. Furthermore, we offer like an open-air cinema, always in the Hochschulstadion in the summer semester. So the weather often is nice. Like this time, what was not so much the case, but at least we have shown Shrek, so that's that. Yeah, and we also do a little extra work, like we rent you equipment to produce your own movies. And we also, if you're like a filmmaker, which you're probably not because this is the Informatik Ophase, you can also like ask us for funds so we can fund your movie project. Yeah, and we also have like all sorts of cooperations with the other Hochschulgruppen. Yeah, All right, so now, where do you find us and how much is it and when? We show movies in general every Tuesday and Thursday in the Audimax in the big lecture hall, starting at 8 o'clock in the afternoon. The price is €2.50 per movie. And in addition to that, you need like a membership, which is €2.50 once a year. So you need to pay that once and then $2.50 for entry every day. You want to watch a movie with us. Also, you can find us at our partner cinema near the Luisenplatz, the Programmkino Rex, where we show movies every Wednesday on 2030, which is a bit more expensive since it's like a proper cinema. It's not like only a lecture hall. So if you like that, it's nice. It's still fairly cheap. So come visit us. And if you want to join us and help improve our PowerPoint troubles or help us run the cinema, join us in the team running the projector. Then just come have a talk with us before one of our movies. Yeah, we'll be glad to have you. Here's our website again, and yeah. All right.
Okay, thank you, Justus. I'm sure to join your movies at some point this semester. I'm not sure when I get the time. Again, sadly, we don't have time for questions, but it's easy to contact Filmkreis due to the event that will be held just after this one. So stay tuned. Now for our next speaker. I actually didn't ask your name, so that's my mistake. Exactly. Our next speaker, Matthias, you've got an USB stick, and then we just get the technicalities. Please get strapped up with the microphone. So, after all that and turning on the presenter, I'd like to welcome Matthias from the Makerspace.
There we go. Okay. So, hello everyone. Yeah, my name is Matthias. I'm from Makerspace Darmstadt, current chairman of the organization. So, and I'm. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you a bit about who we are, what we do. So the very short version is we're a do-it-yourself workshop where you can realize your own projects. We're not part of TU Darmstadt. We're a non-profit organization with currently around 450 members. We're sort of citizens workshop. That means a membership is optional. You do not have to have one to work there. We run all by volunteer work. We do not have any fixed employees except for some cleaning company for the restrooms. It's all volunteer work. And we are financed solely by your membership fees or donations. So, yeah, and in short, it's a place to build your own projects. So this is a very short version, and since it's a 10-minute slot, I go a bit deeper in. Our goals is mainly promoting education in crafts and technology. That means repair your own stuff, build your own stuff. at this point, I have to tell you what we're not. We're not a manufacturer, so we don't make anything to order for you, and we do not repair your stuff. But there is always a lot of helpful members around who know what they're doing, well, most of them, and who are happy to help you out. So if you hit any obstacles, you can't get any further, you usually find people who can teach you how to do it right and how to get along. And it's basically about, furthering DIY community. So we have the equipment for arts, crafts, and fabrication. And we're also about networking cooperation with others in the education sector. So mainly it's Werkhof, that's Berufsorientierung means so preparation for actually on-the-job training. We have the TUD sailing team who are building their boats in our workshop and contacts with every other fab labs. So that's our background. We're heavy on workshops and community events, which are not mandatory. So it's not like other organizations, which is known in German, which are a bit stricter. That's not with us. You can come and go where you like. You don't need to join in, but if you want to get to know other people, do something together, you can. It's highly appreciated. And so let's dive into what we actually got for you. So we got big woodworking workshops, got metalworks. You can do welding, plasma cutting if you like. You can also learn how to use a smithy, smith your own knife or anything, or jewelry. We also got goldsmithing. We're now extending into leather and textile work, so tailoring and all the associated things, or tanning and cutting and working leather. Also have a big pottery workshop, it's quite popular. We also have a printery, silkscreen, so if you want to print your own t-shirts, you can. We have an electronics workshop, it's quite nice. We also do a lot of IT and electrics projects, mainly to save on volunteer work, so we do a lot of automation for ourselves. 3D printing workshop, laser cutters. Laser cutters is probably the most used machine in the whole makerspace, especially when the architectural students are running near the end of the semester. We do a lot of CNC milling. We have a CNC stitching machine. If you want to do badges or anything for your clothes, you can do that too. With communal area, just hang around, talk to other people, and we got a bit of storage for your own stuff, so you don't need to arrive by car every time. We got a few parking spaces for loading and unloading, so it's also not a problem. So it's a bunch of things, just randomly pick what you have. You can work a lathe, you can build your own table, you can run a wood CNC milling machine, whatever you need, basically. So the general terms how this works is, well, first of all, you can work there as a guest if a member is present, but members can get 24/7 access. So if you wake up in the middle of the night and you want to build your own table, you can. There's no mandatory work hours for the organization. We do build community projects, but it's not mandatory for you to pitch in. What is mandatory is safety briefings. In the 9 years that Makerspace exists, we never had an accident that needed to be treated in a hospital, and we want to keep it that way. So you have to do these first before using anything. They cost a small fee, but I'll get into that a bit more. And the only obligations we currently have is, of course, responsible treatment of the equipment and others. You have to clean up after yourself. We don't do that for you. And you have to report breakages. It's usually either you can call that into your insurance if something bigger, but mostly it's just if you help repairing it, then we're good. So, coming to membership. So the regular fee is 20 euros. For students, it's 15 per month. And if you want a key fob to access the workshop 24/7, that's 5 euros fee and 20 deposit. And if you're a member, the safety briefings are 50% off. So it's usually about 3 euros per briefing. Also, you get an onboarding event, how it works, general safety instructions, and how we do things around Makerspace. We have a lot of very talented people who do great stuff. It's just a small selection. We're heavily operating on Slack to coordinate ourselves. There's a whole channel just with cool stuff that people make and that they want to share. Just ask permission to take a few of them. And so you can see it goes into all different fields, kinds, what people do. So it's very various, and while we have quite some people who have actually learned their craft, most of them are autodidacts. Like myself, I've studied electrical engineering in Darmstadt, later on did a PhD in software engineering, so not exactly a crafting background, but it came from woodworking and then escalated a bit. Okay, so as I said, we run on volunteer work. So what our volunteers do is they manage the workshops and purchase new stuff. They do the safety briefings on online courses, commissioning of machines, repair, maintenance. They held community events, and if they know something cool and want to share, they can do workshops and tutorials. So if you want to join in, that's highly appreciated. My last project that I did with this guy actually on the screen is we repaired a 5.5 ton CNC milling machine center that we are now running. It's from 1996, so there were quite a few bugs to fix and everything. So if you want to do cool stuff like this, then just tell us and we'll see what we can do. Yeah, where we are. We're in Darmstadt's industrial area. It's Mainzer Straße 74. As you can see, there's quite a couple of bus stops near us, so it's not a problem to get there. Yeah, it's about 5 square meters workspace, and as I said, open all hours. So, yeah. And if you want to visit us, it's open house every Thursday night at 7 o'clock in the evening, where we do tours. I think today is a pub crawl, so probably not today, but if you want to come over, we're glad to have you. As I said, we're on Slack, so you can visit our homepage and how to get access. And yeah, it's makerspace-darmstadt.de. And so, yeah, that's actually my part about this. Hope to see you around. Thank you for your attention.
Yeah, thank you, Matthias. That sounds like a cool place. So, this ends our program for the stream. If I'm informed correctly, Leon, can you correct me? So, okay, then with this, the stream ends, and the guys in the auditorium, guys and girls, you stay here for our last event on campus.